Welcome to the MWA podcast. I'm Kyle and I'm here with my co-host Mark. Today we're excited to have Colby St. Clair on the show. Colby is a former professional custom furniture maker and he's now the CEO of a company behind an innovative design tool called the Furniture App. So welcome to the show, Colby.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Very excited to talk to you about it. I've been browsing your webpage since we first got in contact a few months ago, and I think you got a very, very interesting product. But before we do that, let's thank our patrons. So who do we have to thank this week?
Well, we want to say a big thank you, as always, to our Patreon supporters. And today we're singling out Brian Brazil. Thank you, Brian, for your support. If you would like to support the MWA podcast, go to www.patreon.com/MWA podcast and make us a pledge.
Yes, thanks so much, Brian. So let's move on to what's in the shop. So, Mark, what are you working on?
I've got materials broken down for shave horses here in the shop.
Oh, nice.
So
cherry.
Yeah, these are cherry. I've also got a group of students going through the remote class. So there are like random jigs and parts kind of scattered around where they come up with a question and it's like, oh, well, let me run over here and dig that out of the tub and show you, how I do that. So it's clean, but there's some odd stuff scattered about. But I should be out here tomorrow back on the shave horses, so I should get most of that stuff put away. How about you, Kyle?
I've been on jury duty for the last week and a half.
Oh.
Yes, I have been called many times. I've never been selected. And this time I was kind of selected. I ended up being the alternate, number 13 out of the 12, 12 and one alternate. And I was the last name out, 65 people in the room. It's like they're going down the names and I'm the alternate. But it ended up being a murder trial too.
Ooh.
Yes. So it was kind of interesting. It was a domestic dispute where basically a girlfriend ended up killing a boyfriend. They'd been living on a boat in one of the marinas for about 8 months or something like that. And that boat was pretty small. I don't know how they did it, but anyway, but
they didn't. They
didn't. But the thing, but it was basically whether it was self-defense or not was the main thing. So, but anyway, that was, we ended up finding her not guilty. The state just couldn't prove its case. They didn't have enough evidence, and it was something else. There was, it was not like TV at all, but yet it also was like TV. I mean, we had a couple of bombshells in the middle of the court. Like one of them was about this guy, whether he had anger issues or not. And they're asking the detective, it's like, well, did you look at his military records? Oh, no, those are really hard to get out of the VA and it takes forever and ever. And then the defense attorney says, well, we got him.
Did they introduce it into evidence right there?
Yeah.
That is very
I think the prosecution knew about it, but I'm not sure that detective knew about it. But yeah, so it went back to, some of the anger issues he had in the past and then the cell phone dump. And anyway, it was an interesting experience. But yeah, so when the jury went to deliberations, everyone thought they would just cut me loose, but they went, nope, you got to stay in the building and stuff. And, they did at least buy us lunch when they were deliberating. I got to eat with them, but they could talk about the case. So I scarfed down 2 pieces of pizza and went, don't get back to work.
How long was that?
They probably deliberated before
the whole thing.
Before lunch and after lunch, maybe 2 hours at most.
How long was the case?
It was 6 days.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty, by the time we got probably halfway through, it was like, the forensics team that went out there didn't really do their job. They barely did enough photographs and just, there just wasn't enough. It's, in Texas, it's what was it called? A non-retreat or stand your ground state.
Stand your ground, yeah.
And, and with the self-defense laws the way it is, basically the prosecution has to prove it wasn't self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt. There just was not any way to do that. So that anybody on the jury saw, because when I went back after they had their verdict, they called me back up. They hadn't announced the verdict or not. I walked in the room and they go, how would you have voted? I went, not guilty. And they went, yep, that's what we did.
So was it that they couldn't prove that it was her, or they couldn't
They
prove
couldn't.
that it was like premeditated?
Yeah, they
actual
couldn't prove it
murder?
was not. I mean, during the whole trial, motive did not come up once. What was a motive for her? I mean, when after this was done, they released the boat back to the family. There was no insurance that anybody knew of. None of
Yeah.
this. So they never even brought up motive. But what was interesting is after we went back into the courtroom, announced the verdict. Then we came back to the jury room, and then the judge sat with us for like almost an hour, asking questions about the stuff. Now, he couldn't really tell us what he would have decided, but he said, I can understand how y'all arrived at that verdict. And then after that, if we wanted to, we weren't required, but we could go back into the courtroom, and then both the prosecution and defense were there, and they wanted to ask us questions about, hey, how did y'all arrive at that decision? And, just aspects about the case. So, I guess to give them a little debrief and feedback. So it was kind of interesting.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. But because of that, all these little parts I was working on for my jigs got delayed because by the time I got back home, I didn't want to mess with any of that stuff. It was pretty exhausting.
You got to pay attention, man.
Yeah.
It's an important thing to do. So, yeah.
So, anyway, I worked on a couple of things over the weekend, but I've been working on jig parts, and I got a little kickback this evening because one of these little jig parts I put, I got to make a little cross cut on 45 degrees on these little small parts. So the off cut is basically 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch by 1/4 of an inch by about 1/2 an inch thick or something like that. And these things kick back all the time when you're making those 45-degree cuts. In fact, I put a big piece of cardboard behind the table saw to catch them as they fly back, and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but one of them hit and ricocheted. I think it hit the bench and ricocheted and hit me right here. I don't know. On video, you might be able to see just a little red dot. I was like, I mean, it didn't draw blood or anything, but it was just like, holy crap. But anyway, I think it had to ricochet at least twice to hit me at that angle. But yeah, so
a lot of energy.
A lot of energy. Yeah. So beware. I hate 45-degree cuts on the table saw. It's just, you're just setting yourself up for background, especially when it's a left tilt saw.
We all have.
I don't know if a right tilt would make any difference, really, but
Well, you can move the fence to the other side of the blade when you're making those cuts.
Yeah,
see what it's like.
Yeah, I've done that before. Well, basically, I'm doing this on the reason I can't do it for these things is I'm doing this on a sled. Yeah, because it's just cross-cutting these little pieces. So I just got a cross-cut sled that has, a 45 degrees. So it's just going back and forth. So it is what it is. But I thought it was pretty funny. Like I said, I know it's going to kick back, so I'm aware of it. But I wasn't prepared for the double ricochet. But with that, Colby, what are you working on in your shop?
So my shop is gone right now, basically. Okay. I've got a garage with some tools and a small shed. But with ADHD and the background in woodworking, I can't stop moving, right? So I'm doing a big garden expansion this year. So that means cedar beds, new trellises, putting up 2 greenhouses. So my wood shop time looks a little different these days, and I miss it with all of my heart, but I can't stop. I mean, once you get into woodworking, you can't stop. And the dream one day, right, is to have another big, beautiful shop where I can just make furniture for myself. My wife and I always joke that it was like the shoemaker's son, right, who has a janky pair of shoes because the shoemaker is always busy. We ended up with a really beautiful dining table and some odds and ends of furniture and a nice custom desk for myself. But we could definitely use more custom furniture. It's embarrassing some of the places where I've bought furniture in the past.
Yes.
Big garden expansion, right? About doubling our garden. That'll be great.
That's cool. So what do y'all grow? Do y'all grow like vegetables and stuff?
A lot of vegetables. Let's see. I think I ordered 57 edible varieties of plants this year.
Wow.
Yeah, so and it's all raised garden beds too, raised wood and metal garden beds, trellises all over the place, and
You got a like a built-in watering system?
yep. My
Okay.
wife was great and let me cut into our yard quite a bit. Cut our grass area down about 50% to put in a garden, and this year it's getting cut even more. So I just tapped into all the sprinklers that we had because I'm in the high desert mountains of Utah, so it's really dry here. You have to water a lot. So I tapped into the sprinkler systems, little micro sprayers all over the place. I'd be watering all day long if I had to water by hand. So
That's what, like, last year my wife had. She's the garden person. I love to eat the produce, and I'm happy to go and get compost and bring it back, but shovel it for a few hours. But she does all the watering, and she had ankle surgery in the spring. And I was like, I'm not watering the garden. Like I'm not going to stand out there for an hour and a half a day watering that stuff. Like we're just going to have to not do a big garden this year. And it was a fight, but I eventually prevailed on this one, but we'll see what happens this year. That's having a watering system you can grow so much more.
Yeah,
there's no shortcut for watering except putting in a system.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, you're just spraying it everywhere.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. We try not to waste water because we're in the desert in the Mountain West. So, the watering is huge, and we had pretty good crops last year. Our big stuff that we grow: carrots, beets, cucumbers, squash, obviously, and beans. But this year, I'm kind of branching out into some different things, some more pumpkins and melons. We should have enough berries to start a berry farm pretty much. And we've got apples, and I'd like to say it's a homestead-ish setup, but we're on like a third of an acre, so it's a very small homestead with 2 dogs and 3 humans.
Yeah.
So it's nice. I use it as my Zen time, my meditation space. When I'm sorting through some problems for the furniture app, I go out and get my hands in the soil, pull some weeds, solve some problems, come back inside, all dirty, get back to work, and it's great. It's been really nice. So this year, just making it bigger.
Cool. And you said you had apple trees?
Yep, 2 apple trees. I think we've got Honeycrisp. We haven't had them DNA tested, but they taste so good.
Cool.
It's fun.
Well, that's some good wood too.
Yeah. Got
I hope I don't have anything available for a long time though.
Yeah.
No, I've got a background as a tree climber and arborist too. So I'm taking down a monster cottonwood this year that we'll have a lot of firewood. So if you're in Utah, let me know. I've got you covered.
Well, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about your background, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up and how you got into woodworking?
Yeah. So I grew up in upstate New York, actually, in the Catskills, a small town called Windham, Ski Windham, Hunter Mountain area, if anyone's familiar. And I grew up with 2 artists' parents. My mom was an abstract painter, and my dad was a sculptor turned stonemason. So I grew up around creatives my entire life, and I'm really grateful for that. Started doing stonework with my dad at an early age. I got the bug to use my hands, and I couldn't sit still, honestly. So as I got older and moved into my own ventures, I started playing around with furniture and woodworking, doing some beds, some small tables for friends, restoring some furniture, and it stuck with me. And I loved it. And again, I've got ADHD, and I couldn't sit still. So woodworking and being outside was great. Wood must be in my blood. I know it's definitely in my lungs.
Unfortunately.
Exactly. And I grew up with chainsaws around. I did some tree climbing, as I said. And as I moved around the country, I've kind of always came back to wood and building furniture. So I spent some time in the military in my late 20s. And when I was getting out of the military, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, because I never wanted to work for the man ever again. I had enough. So I kind of naturally fell into woodworking to fill some time, and got out of the Army. And my wife is from Park City, Utah, and we decided to move back to Utah. And one of my superpowers, as I say, is solving problems in my head and figuring out if there's really a business to those problems that I'm solving. And I recognize that in Park City, which is a really wealthy area, second, third, fourth homes, a lot of interior designers, custom homes, 20,000 foot custom homes. There were no furniture makers, and it blew my mind. So the more I researched, the more I realized, hey, this is a real opportunity. I started a furniture business out of a 1.5 car garage, and it was a bit of luck and a lot of hard work. And I ended up with some really great customers that allowed me the opportunity to grow really fast. And I moved from a 1.5 car garage into a 1,500 square foot workshop pretty quickly. And one thing that I always prided myself on, and I had some advice early on, was never buy tools on credit. If you want to run a great business, save up the money, buy the tool that you really want. Buy the right tool the first time. Save the money and do it right. Don't buy 3-4 tools to get to your nice tool. So I would save up money, I'd buy nice tools, and I reinvested everything I possibly could back into my business. And it grew and grew and grew. And I was really lucky. I got to do some incredible pieces of furniture. And yeah, I signed some NDAs, so I can't really say a lot of the big popular names that we worked for, but Park City is home to a lot of celebrities, rock stars and elected officials, names that you've likely heard of. And I was lucky. It took a lot of work, but I worked my butt off and I built a brand that I was truly proud of. And eventually I kind of got to the point where I recognized I couldn't work any more time in the shop. My wife and I had a daughter, and I was restricted with the amount of money that I could make was really limited to the time that I could spend in the shop with employees at the time building furniture. So I started thinking of options of how I could transition out of furniture, and it's kind of where I landed with the furniture app. And my dream was to have a company where I could make money when I sleep. And we're a startup, so that's not really happening right now. But
there is no sleep. Yes.
Yeah, there's no sleep, and I'm getting to build another company that I'm unbelievably passionate. And our customer profile has kind of shifted from the small custom furniture shops and small interior design shops to a larger industry to support our investors' investments. But my heart is with custom furniture, woodworkers, and I love the industry through and through. So that's kind of, that was a long tangent on where I grew up and how I got here. But every chance I get, I try and help out custom furniture makers. We get a lot of people reaching out, hey, can you help me with this, X, Y, and Z? And I'll do everything I can to always help them. We try and make introductions on part of our platform to increase workloads for custom furniture makers, because I was lucky, and with my furniture business, I got in quite early with a local whiskey distiller in Park City that was nationally recognized and won all sorts of awards, High West Distillery.
Wait a minute. You're telling me there's a whiskey distillery in Utah?
There is, and it was founded a long time ago, and they broke all sorts of molds in Utah.
Yeah.
And they have since sold to Constellation Brands, and Constellation is one of the largest wine and spirits parent companies in the world, publicly traded. So High West is still located in Park City. They still do all their distilling in Park City. They've got a number of restaurants, and it was largely because of High West and some really special interior designers that I was able to build my furniture brand. And we did all sorts of projects, whiskey barrel serving flights for High West that shipped out to every continent, countries that I had to look at a map and see, where is this going to? Promotional products for them. I replaced every single one of their tables, and they have three separate food and beverage locations. So I did a few hundred dining room tables, custom dining room tables for them over the years, out of wormy chestnut and reclaimed oak from all over the U.S. and barns. And they were a phenomenal customer. It was great. But yeah, you never think distillery, but there's a number of them now in Utah, a number of breweries that are putting out great beer. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. Well, so you kind of told us a little bit about how you got into developing the furniture app, but tell us a little bit about more exactly what it is, what it does, how you use it, those kind of things.
Yeah. So the idea initially came from the fact that I was spending so much time designing furniture for my business that it's time that you don't get paid for. And as a custom furniture production shop, time is money. And it could take weeks going back and forth with customers, clients, designers, finalizing a piece of furniture, all the designs. And then the funny thing is I'm not very technical. So a lot of my drawings initially were by hand, which I'm not a very good artist, even though I have artist parents. So I was having a hard time spending so many hours designing furniture that I wouldn't get paid for. As a shop, you get paid for the delivery of the final piece. And that's where this kind of came from. My co-founder at the time introduced me to AI, and it blew my mind. And it kind of grew from, initially we wanted to have a database of categorized furniture. Thousands of pictures of furniture categorized by what the piece of furniture was, a table, chairs, couches, and styles and materials. And it shifted from a database to AI because of the rise of AI about 2 years ago or so. So what we do now is we use generative AI to conceptualize furniture. So you're a customer and you're saying, I really want a dining room table. This happens all the time. What kind of dining room table do you want? I don't know, a modern. Do you want what kind of modern? A pedestal base? What kind of style do you want? So users can go onto our platform. They can use our generative AI model, which is trained on furniture, which is really cool. And they can type in the exact piece of furniture they want. They can say, I want a mid-century modern walnut dining room table with a steel pedestal base, powder-coated red with brass details, oak bow ties with a semi-gloss finish. You can get really detailed. I've seen some AI prompts that are 2-3 paragraphs long describing a piece of furniture, which is really neat. Our AI model generates that piece of furniture for you. Where we're trying to go with this is to get a concept image to a blueprint in 2 minutes, a blueprint, shop drawing, CAD file in 2 minutes. To do that, you can conceptualize a piece of furniture, and we're working right now to allow you to edit that piece of furniture within our platform, regardless of your technical experience, design prowess, any of it. Really easy. I generally say, I want it so my grandmother can go design a piece of furniture and connect with someone that can make her very specific piece of furniture for her price in 5 minutes, which is unheard of right now. There's nowhere to do that. So to conceptualize, edit the piece of furniture, and then export a production plan to a manufacturer, that's our big goal that we're working on. Right now, what we're doing is we have the AI model. You can conceptualize furniture. You can edit your prompt until you're pretty close to the piece of furniture you want. And then you can submit it to us through a blueprint request form. What that is essentially a questionnaire where you fill out all of the details about your piece of furniture that we need to design your furniture. So dimensions, colors, sheens, materials, hex codes for colors. You can pick where you are geographically. That helps us connect you with someone that can make it if you need that. You can pick what type of deliverables you want. So you want shop drawings or a CAD file, 3D renderings, animations. We can go as far as giving you tooling files for a very specific piece of machinery that you have in your shop. You submit all of this information to us, and in a 2 to 5 day turnaround, you have everything you need for furniture, renderings, files, tooling, all of it. What's really cool for the smaller custom furniture makers that we work with is you can pick your price point. So not everyone has Park City money, and it doesn't matter how expensive your table is. So you can tell us you need the dining room table designed in a way that it'll cost for materials, or the final product will cost a certain amount of money, and we can tailor our designs to meet that cost for you. So if you have a great budget and you need a live edge slab table, we can give you an option for a big, beautiful live edge. Or if you're on a more budget option, we'd probably do a veneer or a really nice piece of hardwood, piece of plywood. We can adjust this based on your price also, and where you are geographically also. So that's how we're helping the custom furniture makers. Our ideal customer has largely shifted from the small custom furniture makers to the hospitality industry that does hotels and restaurants, public spaces, airports, that kind of thing. There's a huge demand for design services for the hospitality industry. What's really cool is, because of who our ideal customer is now and their demand for custom products, as we get these hospitality firms coming in ordering products, we can connect them now to smaller custom furniture shops that we know that are vetted, that can do it for specific price points, that can do a certain quantity of product also. And that's what made my business working for High West Distillery. They came to me and they said, we need 2,000 serving flights. I said, oh my gosh, sure, I can do it. I don't even think I thought twice about it. Yes, I can do it. And you kind of step up and you rise to the occasion. The same can be the case for custom furniture makers all across the US, all across the world. When someone comes and says, we need 50 custom tables for our restaurant, or we need 25 beautiful handmade chairs, we can pass these projects off to custom shops now, which takes away the need for Facebook ads, Google SEO, Instagram promotions, all of it. Just by being a subscriber to the furniture app, we can pass you projects that will build your business. You establish a relationship with those hospitality firms now, and you just made yourself a ton of money, and you largely don't have to do any more advertising because they're going to continue to come back to you. It's really nice that even though our ideal customer has shifted, we can help out custom furniture makers, woodworkers, steel fabricators, metal fabricators in a way that is meaningful to the community. Because that's where my heart is, and I love that. And we also get to design and create beautiful furniture for these hospitality firms too.
Yeah, and I think that, like, you also have, I mean, every big client with a big order always has that one accent piece that your regular commercial cabinet shop just can't touch it. Like, they don't have the skills or the hand tools, or and so to have the immediate answer to that question, well, who's going to make this? Like, oh, I know the guy. I know the shop. It's not a guy, but you know, and that's really cool. That's a big value to the design client, as well as, like you said, the community, the woodworking community.
It's awesome.
Really awesome.
It's something that it's so hard. I think I sold my business and exited custom furniture, luckily for me, in the perfect time. I've heard so many furniture makers around the country say
2007.
I sold 2 years ago.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah, I killed it through COVID. Maybe that's a bad phrase to use, through COVID. I did really well through COVID. After COVID, I continued on the upward slope, and I was starting to get beat down after 2 decades of working with stone and tree work and woodworking and furniture. I was getting beat down, and I got lucky when I sold.
Yeah.
But since then, some of the best furniture makers in the country that I had the opportunity to work alongside and know personally have closed their doors. And they said it's too hard to get customers. It's too hard to chase money. And it's sad. And I keep telling our beta users that we've had and our users, just give me a little bit longer, and I'm going to continue to bring in larger firms that need more work for you. Just hang on. And that's how I really want to run the furniture app, is helping the big firms out, because there's a huge demand for design services that are cost effective, but then passing work off to the smaller shops that can totally handle these orders. A lot of these custom shops don't even know it, but they can handle 200-300 tables easy. They're not asked to push out that many tables overnight. And if you're set up for tables, which we largely designed and built custom dining room tables and conference tables, if you're set up for tables or chairs, you are really effective at doing that work, and you can handle it. Trust in yourself to do the work. Take it on and rise to the occasion. And that's what fuels me. And I'm really lucky. I get to chat with furniture makers across the world. And it always comes down to wanting to help the smaller shops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that also, like, as a small shop, if you have a partner who understands logistics,
yes,
and has the experience to work the bugs out of a design before you start making it, that's always the thing that killed me, was, you make a design, you think you've got it figured out, and then you get halfway through and you're like, oh man, like this is not going to go together right. And so, like I said, it feels like maybe a partnership that you've got with these people, and it takes a lot of the stress out of the guesswork at the beginning, and then again at the end when you need to ship it, and you're like, I don't know how to ship 100 tables to Oregon. Like, can you put me with somebody who knows how to do that? Because yeah.
And what's really cool, you said something there that's really interesting, in figuring out all these little tweaks, and you can never really sort out all of the intricacies of a piece of furniture. Tables, maybe tables aside, because tables are pretty easy on. But chairs, as you guys know, there's all these little things that you don't think of as you're drawing a chair up. That lands on us as largely a furniture design platform, right? Our furniture designers that we have on staff are incredible. They all have a undergrad in mechanical engineering and a master's in industrial design, and every single one of them has hands-on furniture experience. Our head of furniture design is a woodworker, and she's incredible. And I feel really lucky to have the support of the designers that we do. And we sort out all of those little surprises, so they don't land on the furniture makers or the, if we're working with a global manufacturer, it doesn't land on them. On top of that, we can even give you assembly instructions to build that piece, which if I had this when I had my furniture business, would be huge. There's no more guesswork. There's no more figuring out the engineering. If you don't want that. If you want that, that's totally fine. We can create renderings for you and basic shop drawings. We're not taking away the creative process, but we're taking the guesswork out of all of it. So when that picky interior designer shows you this ridiculous piece of furniture and you're like scratching your head, how do I put this thing together? You can let us know that, hey, I need help with all of the little details on this, and we'll sort it out with our design. Some of the plans that we've delivered recently are 10 pages long of CAD files and shop drawings because of the intricacies and the details that we need to have in there. There's no more guesswork. If you need jigs made, we can show you and design a jig for you. Recently, we did an upholstered chair for a global furniture manufacturer, and the back piece of it was upholstered. It's probably about 6 inches tall and curved to fit your back. And our furniture team created a jig so you can glue lam all those pieces together and push it in with either a big hydraulic press or clamps. So we can solve all of these problems for you if you want. If you want to figure it out yourself, power to the people, man. Do that. I love that. It was one of the best parts of my job for a long time. staying up at night figuring out how to do this. When you get into production of a lot of different pieces of furniture, that's a lot of headaches and a lot of problems to solve, and you still end up with surprises. You're like, oh man, I did not think of that. How do I do this? We can help with all that.
Yeah. So you can help. I'm trying to get this. So you can help with the design. So you can say if a firm comes to you and, hey, we need to design a hospitality firm or whoever client comes and say, I want a design of this. You can help them develop that design and then pass that off to a local shop or whoever's going to be the best to make it. Conversely, if that shop has somebody bring them a design, you can then help them figure it out what the shop drawing is and how to actually make the piece. Correct.
And you can generate a drawing within minutes, like with them looking over your shoulder, and go have the back and forth with them right there.
Yep.
And have a rendering that they can agree to or not.
Yep.
And then I guess depending upon what you're paying for, you guys would actually even help them quote that.
Yeah.
How this is probably a little too detailed, but like, I mean, how much of the information of the shop are you taking into account when you're creating those pricing models and that sort of thing? You know what tools they have and how fast they can move. And
yeah, so as part of we're a subscription-based model. I should have said that a long time ago. We're a subscription-based model. So depending on your needs, you can buy a pool of products. I call them blueprints, but essentially credits. Each credit is a shop drawing or a full product design package. So as part of your onboarding, which takes about an hour to figure out, for a really large company, it takes about an hour. So pretty quick for smaller shops. We figure out what your tooling capabilities are. If you have automated machines, if you have a furniture designer on staff already, because some pay a lot of money to have a drafts person. We learn what all of your capabilities are, and we put that into our file on your company so that when we design a piece of furniture, it's designed right the first time. We know what your capabilities are. We know what kind of files you need back. Oh man, I'm really bad at this part. Whether they're step files or CAD files or Revit family files, specific files for tooling that you need to plug into your automated machines. We know all of this. So when you come to us and you say, this interior designer gave me a picture of a chair that she found on Etsy, grainy and it's gross and you have no idea how to build this thing, we take that and we design everything you need right off the bat. Conversely, if you're a customer, someone off the street that wants a piece of furniture made, we can design that for you and we can connect you with a shop that is in our network. So when we design your product for you, we're designing it with a specific shop in mind that can build your piece of furniture based on where you are geographically or your price point or your product specialty. I generally say if it's related to furniture, we can do it for you. We can connect you, we can design it, we can do tooling files. And this goes for a DIYer that needs, hey, I want to build a new product. I have no idea how to do this. Can you help me design it? You can buy one blueprint from us for a certain amount of money. And I'm happy to work with pricing based on what someone needs also. Whether it's a DIYer or it's a global furniture manufacturer, we're talking to one right now that has 11 different manufacturing facilities around the world. They're looking at thousands of products, blueprints every year. We can accommodate all of that.
Mm-hmm. So you can do one-offs. Someone might, hey, I got a piece of furniture I want to build for myself or a particular client, all up to like hundreds of tables and things of that nature. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, what about collaborating? So suppose I'm a furniture maker, primarily in wood, and I got this request from somebody, hey, I want that steel base or that wrought iron decorative stuff. Can you help me find people in my area that are able to do that? And
I love doing that. And I just did that for someone recently that's launching a they're her first products. She's doing a run of 100 of these sit to stand chairs for kids that can't sit still. I know that really well. We can help you connect with someone that, hey, I need these brass corner parts. Can you help me find someone that can either make them or has them? I love doing that kind of stuff. And most of the time I'll do it personally. So if you're a table maker and someone says, I want this ridiculous 3D printed base that looks futuristic, we've got a 3D printing partner. Awesome guys, built their own 3D printer for furniture. We can connect you with someone that'll do that, and 99% of the time we can do it for free, and we can do it within a little while too, a few hours tops. So we're happy to connect people. It's just a bonus of being able to do this.
Cool. Now, we've had a lot of, small scale furniture shops and stuff like that have been on the podcast and before. And one of the great things about them, whether it's a Michael Jury or a Philip Morley or somebody like that, is their pieces all seem to speak with one voice. So I'm wondering if I'm a small, shop and I wanted to, hey, design a line of furniture. Is that something you could help me and make sure these are integrated and, they all complement each other, so to speak?
I was hoping you were going to ask that question.
Yeah.
100%. That's another bonus way where we can help the community. If you want to create a line of furniture, that takes so much work, so much time. And if you're not technically gifted, as I am definitely not, we can help you with that. It would otherwise cost you thousands of dollars. You're going out to hire an industrial designer, create drawings for 3D models. They're going to charge you a lot of money to do that. We can do that for a really cost-effective way because we're a subscription model. You say, hey, I need 10 product blueprints. We'll set you up with a price that works for your schedule and your price, and we can do that. If you want something to fit your style, you can work closely with our furniture designers to do that. And ultimately, what we're trying to do with our tech platform, I've been chatting a lot about what we're doing right now, but ultimately what we're trying to do is allow someone to take a few pictures of their furniture that they've done, like a Philip Morley, and say, this is my style. I want a new chair created or a new table created in this style. And it'll start to generate some ideas for you. And you can change your text prompts depending upon how you want that to move. What's really cool, what we're working on, is allowing you to make those fine detail changes that people are making. I hate even saying the name, in SketchUp, the worst platform I can think of.
We'll do Fusion 360.
Yeah, there you go.
Fusion fans on this show. Yeah.
Perfect. And Fusion is really technically demanding too. It takes a lot of time to learn. So our goal is to challenge Fusion, and that's a whole other story. But to allow you to make those fine changes, so you're not relying solely on AI to make these changes. So you can change the bevels and the edge profiles and colors and all of these little details. You can change those so the product that you want meets your needs. And as you're making these changes in the back end of computer land back there, and my CTO is working on all of this, in the back end, as you're making these changes, your CAD model and your shop drawing is changing with it. So when you're finished editing your design, you don't need to go back in and make these changes in your line drawing too. You can export everything right away. The image that you generated and edited and tweaked, you can export right away and it's ready to go. Production files, tooling, all of it.
Cool.
That's really
So
cool. Hold on. Go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, I was going to say, so if I'm a furniture maker that kind of, does everything intuitively, and I come up with this piece of furniture, I go, hey, this is fantastic. I just wish I had shop drawings now that I've built it. Is it something that I can then say, get with you, and then y'all can develop the piece of furniture I've actually made into shop drawings?
Exactly. That we
Okay.
can, that's super easy for us. And what we're what we're also working on as part of our tech platform is for you to upload a picture. And because furniture is based on standards, heights, dimensions, widths, proportions, we're working so you can upload that picture of a product you already made and maybe give us a few dimensions so we have a reference.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll put out a shop drawing for you in minutes. Imagine not having to sit behind Fusion for hours.
Right.
And in
Exactly.
2 minutes, you have a drawing. And until I met my co-founder, I thought that maybe I was talking kind of like Star Wars future here. Like, maybe we're shooting laser beams out of our guns here. But technology is really cool and it's moving really fast. And all of this is totally possible. So if people can stick with us over the next few years and really benefit from what we're doing now, it's going to get better and better. And I hope I'm not shooting myself in the foot right now. No one else is working on a solution like this. There's bits and pieces of what we're doing existing out there in the wild, but people usually don't come from building furniture to running a tech startup. It's not really something that I hear a lot about. And I've chatted with thousands of furniture and interior professionals around the world, on every continent, again, in countries that I'd never heard of before. And no one is working on this. And it's truly mind-boggling to me that someone from upstate New York living in the mountains of Utah, is solving this problem that everyone feels right now.
Okay, so I want to flip the coin on you a little bit.
Please.
And so this is coming from a place of concerns from creatives about AI, right?
Yeah.
You've got people who take photographs, make art, write,
Yes.
and the AI companies have scraped all this data and they're using it to generate new stuff, based on tokens and that sort of thing. And so, do you have anything in place, or have you thought about? So, like, if I'm Philip Morley and I've designed a record console, and I've got a customer who says, I want 4 more pieces of furniture that fit with this record console, Philip should be able to come to you and be like, hey, help me prototype some ideas, with your AI. But is there any protections from somebody else doing that with a person whose work is not their own? Like old stuff that's part of the design record, I mean, it's kind of fair game, Louis Philippe and some of the mid-century stuff. But, more modern makers who have, like Kyle said, a really distinct voice, is there any means that they can protect themselves from design copies?
That is definitely a legal question. It's a little bit over my pay grade. What I can tell you that we're working on right now is we're using an AI service right now that is incredible. They believe in copyright and protecting people's own individual works. As we grow, as the Furniture app grows, the partners that we work closely with, the big hospitality firms, the furniture brands, we're going to be asking them for pictures of their furniture to train our models off of, to train our AI off of. So everything that we load into the back end of our AI models, we have permission to use.
So it's something they've paid a designer to design for them in the past.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not like they're giving you pictures of like Herman Miller credenzas or something like that.
Crate and barrel.
They have to own their rights and own that product design.
Yeah.
What's really interesting, and I understand people's concerns about, hey, this is my personal artwork that I spent hours designing and developing. The way AI works is it pulls tiny little bits and pieces of that specific design, and it puts them with 1,000, 1 million other pieces. And someone out there is going to be judging me. That's totally fine. It takes these tiny little pieces of furniture, and you never get, say you're talking about faces, you're never going to see my ugly grill come up on an AI image because it's taking half of my eyebrow, and it's taking my nose hairs, and it's taking these little bits and pieces of my face and people's artwork, and it's putting them together in new and creative ways. So when you design a piece of furniture, you're not getting an entire piece of Philip Morley's furniture or I'm brain farting on other furniture makers now, of course. You're not taking their full design. You're taking a tiny little piece of it. So AI is a really creative and useful tool when it's properly trained in the back end. And I usually like to say that I'm not trying to build a Tesla where we buy other people's stuff without them knowing, or we're I hope he doesn't shut us down. We're not trying to build an awful company. We want to help the furniture industry. We want to promote people's creative growth, and do that in a responsible way.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah. So you mentioned a little bit about, who your target audience is, and it seems like it's wide. It's both the small shop, even the hobbyist woodworker, depending on what they're doing, up to large woodworking firms and then large hospitality firms. Now, are you getting this into the hands of, I assume, one of your, I guess we talked a little bit about it, but not so much about these, your normal interior designers and stuff like that. They're designing stuff. Are you working with folks like that?
Yeah, we've got a number of smaller interior design firms. I usually say we can do the one-off designs for people and really help them out if they need a custom piece of furniture made. But the ones that are really benefiting from us right now are interior design firms that have 5 to 10 interior designers, and north of that, and up of 5 and 10. There's a ton of use in the interior design industry, and the initial feedback we got was, well, that's time that I bill my customers is looking for furniture. Well, you can still bill your customers for looking for furniture, but you can find them better furniture now. And you can take that time that you were spending looking through 10,000 pieces of furniture and use that on a different part of their project. Or you can take on more customers because you're not doing this really painful, monotonous work of looking for something very specific. You can tell us what you're looking for, and our AI model will generate it. Not only will it generate it, we can also connect you to someone that can make it. So if you're a designer and you spend 10 hours looking for a coffee table, you can now tell us exactly what it is you're looking for. We'll design it, and we'll connect you with someone that can make it for your price point in your general geographic region.
Yeah.
So it's just an enhancer for interior designers, and
it's efficiency. I mean, it's pure efficiency.
It is, and you can take on more work because of this now, and your work is going to show a lot better because you're not buying the same piece of furniture out of the Crate and Barrel catalog. You're supporting a small business, hopefully in your region. You're designing something that's truly yours and truly creative. So now you're putting your thumbprint on someone's design, other than giving them this nice mountain modern furniture package. You've got custom furniture in there now, and it's not custom furniture. Doesn't have to be the $25,000 dining room tables anymore. It can be something that's cost effective for your customer.
Yeah. That's interesting, and this probably won't benefit any of our listeners, but from my background, was a lot of institutional type stuff. So building hospitals, stuff of that nature. Yeah. The architect firms and the designers within that architect firms, they always spec'd out. They're speccing your Kimballs, your Herman Millers, your Hans. This is what you're putting in these spaces. Yeah. So is this something that you can work with those people to get, something a little bit nicer, maybe not quite so institutional looking?
Yes, 100%. If you tell us, hey, we need it for a hospital, there's certain standards and codes and specs that furniture needs to be to do that. Yeah. We can meet all of those specs. All the commercial furniture standards, we can meet all of those. Yeah. Our furniture designers are incredible. And to
fit the spaces and stuff like that. And all
that
Kind
exactly.
of stuff. Yeah.
And how often is it a couch, your perfect size that you're looking for in a custom house or in a old house? You want a modern couch. The sizes and dimensions and ratios don't always line up. And if you need a couch an extra 6 inches, you either have to settle or you can have something made that fits that space perfectly. So we're working with a lot of design firms that do hospitality locations. And you know what? In a dream world, we'd also be able to work with the Kimballs and the Hawks and the big furniture brands also, because they have to design furniture also. They have a team of industrial designers. And I generally say if a big company like that is developing 1,000 pieces of furniture a year, which isn't a huge number for a Kimball, we can save them about $800,000.
Yeah.
Over the course of 1,000 product blueprints. So there's savings for everyone. And I didn't go out in this trying to solve the furniture industry as a whole, all of the problems. But because we focused on one problem and kind of started to feel out where everyone else felt pain, we're able to solve a lot of problems. And that warms my heart. I'm really glad that we're able to do that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, tell us about, okay, I'm interested in the app. So how do I access the app? What are the pricing models? You said you're subscription based. So is it a per project, per month type thing, or what?
You can go to thefurnitureapp.com. You can play around with it. We've got a cost savings tool on there. You can see some of the cool designs that you can do. We do have a 14-day free trial. You can get on. You can play with our AI generator. You can even submit a product to us for blueprinting. You can design something, be like, this is really cool, and I have a need for this. We'll blueprint one for you for free, which is really cool. I generally say for our starting package, if you're looking for one product blueprint, it's going to cost you about $400. If you're going out to find an industrial designer off of Upwork or Fiverr, you're looking at about $1,400 right now to have renderings, shop drawings, tooling files, to have a full package done. We'll do it for $400. So from one product blueprint, we scale up from there. Up to our max right now, we're doing a package for 1,000 product blueprints. So
that's not bad. $400. I mean, seriously. I mean, I'm sitting here saying, okay, even being a hobbyist, I'm going, okay, do I want to spend like 2 weeks in SketchUp doing something out, or would I rather, hey, here's my design, can I work with you for $400 to get this thing done and get some drawings out of it? Yeah,
depends on how pragmatic you are, Kyle. I think whether you like the tinkering phase or whether you want the furniture and you want to get making sawdust quickly.
And you can honestly do both. If you tell us that you want the raw design file back to put into SketchUp or to put it into Fusion, we'll give you that file back. We don't own that. That's your design. We're not going to share it with anyone else. We might brag about it on our social media and give you credit for it, which is a bonus as we grow. But that's yours. You can do with it what you want. We can give you the raw file. You can change whatever you want on it. You can mess it up and come back to us and say, I screwed this up royally. Can you help me fix it? We're happy to do it.
Man, I see a massive arbitrage opportunity for some of those industrial designers on Upwork and to subscribe to this service and continue to charge $1,400.
No. We'll probably offer them jobs, honestly, because until our platform balances out with our technology stack to what we're doing manually, we're going to need industrial designers, and there's always going to be a need for them. We're not taking anyone's jobs away from them.
No, I mean, I think if I was doing that as a freelancer, having a tool like this in my pocket would make me more efficient. I'm not saying you're going to kill the jobs. I think those people have an opportunity to make use of a faster tool to make them better at their own job.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, no, I think it's, there's a lot of massive potential there for anybody who's got really great ideas, but it is maybe slow to implement them, or has trouble converting them into drawings, or or the other way around, somebody who's really good at the technical stuff but needs help prototyping ideas and coming up with 10 different options to choose from and that sort of thing. So
really cool. So a big demand that we've seen is people wanting to start furniture brands too. I have these really cool ideas. I suck with technical drawings. Let us help you. We can go as far as set you up with a sourcing company that can help you find all the pieces for you, whether you want to stay in the US, or if you want to ship from international, we can do it all. We're a full service furniture design platform.
It's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that is cool because I think, not only the design aspect, but some of the collaborations, putting you in touch with other shops, putting you in touch with global manufacturers, like you're bringing these resources to the small shops. Yeah.
Yeah, we're like the Upwork and Fiverr for the furniture industry, honestly. And there's no place for a customer or an interior designer to go and find a furniture maker and pick them based on their specialty, their price point. There's no place for that, and it's crazy. And that's what the furniture industry needs. That's what these custom shops need. They need something other than Google SEO and meta ads. I mean, just the worst. People spend thousands of dollars a month on meta ads and SEO. Just turn that around and use us, and we'll help you do it as part of your subscription.
Yep.
Like the furniture nexus.
I like that. Yeah.
Well, that is so cool. Well, before we wrap up, tell us a little bit about what you like to do outside of woodworking. We might have covered that already with the gardening and stuff, but you're in Park City, so I assume you do a little skiing and stuff.
There's
like
an ice climbing axe in the background. Like
I know, I saw that.
That's been to the top of Everest, actually. A good
awesome.
friend of mine, Andy Langendorf, gave me that, and I believe a buddy of his brought that to the top of Everest, he said. So that's why it's back there, and maybe house protection too.
Yeah.
Park City. I've been skiing my entire life. I grew up in a small ski area, ski town in the Catskills in New York. So I've been skiing since I was about 1.5. Mountain biker. I'm right now an outer shape long distance runner. Running a business takes a lot of time, it turns out.
Yep.
And I've got a very active 5.5-year-old daughter and an incredibly supportive wife. So weekends are with them. Nights are usually gymnastics and tumbling and yoga for her. But any chance we can get to be outside, I love it. The garden is huge in the summertime. That's my meditation Zen zone. So if it includes fresh air, I'm usually game for.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to our fortnightly beer choices. So I am recommending from our local native Galveston Island Brewing Company, the Blue Bridge Hoppy Amber. It's a fantastic beer and just recently won the 2025 Gold Craft Beer Awards here in Texas.
Hoppy Amber.
Hoppy Amber. Yeah. It's an amber that has some hoppiness, some citrus in it. It's very nice, very nice. So, Mark, what are you drinking?
I'm just drinking water tonight, but I did sit down and drink a Smooth Criminal with the Super Bowl on Sunday.
Oh, good. What time did you turn the Super Bowl off?
Oh, I watched the whole thing. I
did too.
It was not how I expected it to go, but the winner definitely earned victory.
Yeah, the domination was impressive. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was a game. Super Bowls can be like that, you just never know. How about you, Colby?
I stopped drinking about 2.5 years ago, actually, but I love the taste of beer and hops. So I gravitate toward the Athletic Brewing. It's an NA beer. Prior to that, I was a big fan of Uinta Brewing here in Utah. They had a double IPA that was really incredible. We still have it. It's wonderful. And then you do some work for a whiskey distillery and you can't help but get bottles here and there. So High West Distillery's bourbon was so good.
Nice. Well, Mark is our NA beer expert. What are some of your favorites?
So I was just looking at that. So there is a company, well, it's owned by Total Wine, but it's called Big Drop. And it's the Paradiso IPA. It's a very good IPA, NA IPA. And there's also the Sober Carpenter, which comes in a tall boy, which is very good. I think those are probably my two favorite NAs for IPA stuff. Yeah, I'm doing my best to follow the Surgeon General's new two drinks a week guideline. It's better for everything. Like I pretty much stopped having any beer during the week just because I sleep better and, I'm more productive during the day. But yeah, so I switched to the NAs during the week, and if you look hard enough, you can find some pretty tasty ones out there.
Yeah, there's some good ones. I replaced a lot of my beer drinking with a lot of coffee.
Yeah, well, that's my I look at we have NAs in the fridge all the time, and I look at them and I think I could lunch, right? I could drink that with lunch, but it just feels weird drinking something that seems like a beer for a lot. You know what I mean? Like but there's, I don't know. Or driving, like while you're driving, could you drink an NA beer while you're driving? Like seems like a risky thing. So
surely
it's just soda. It's just like wheat and hop soda. Yeah. So I don't know.
Surely there's a police officer listener that can chime in on this too.
Yes. Or maybe a lawyer would be also a good person to chime in on it.
From my jury experience, I learned once again, never talk to the police.
I would like to speak to my lawyer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or as the defense attorney said, I would like to tell you my story with my lawyer present.
Yes.
Anyway, well, with that said, Colby, where can folks find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, furnitureapp.com, our website. You can sign up for a free trial there. We're on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook as @FurnitureApp.
Fantastic. All right, Mark, do we have some feedback?
We do. We've got a couple of comments on episodes 543 and 544. Those were our episodes we did with Heartwood Woodshop. McIntyre Furniture says, fun, I'll check it out. And Robert Tolnai said, it's one of my favorite podcasts, so I'll definitely be listening to it. Congratulations on being featured. So he was responding to, I think, when Heartwood mentioned that they had been on the podcast. So we appreciate you guys commenting on, well, guys and gals, commenting on our Instagram page, and feel free to drop in there and leave a comment. Let us know what you think.
And that just about wraps it up for this show. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the show on the podcatcher of your choice. Just search for the Modern Woodworkers Association. And while you're there, please leave us a review. You can follow us on Instagram at MWA_podcast. And if you'd like to support the podcast, go over to patreon.com/MWA podcast. But the best thing you can do is tell a friend. Word of mouth goes a long way in sharing our discussion.